Bible characters. The blackboard is up there. A few weeks ago we learned about Mary Magdalene. Let's review something here. Is it true or is it false? Mary Magdalene was a lady of the night. True or false?
False.
Oh, you make my heart sing. You make my heart sing. You finally got down there because it was a lie when the Pope invented that about 500 years after Jesus died. It was a lie when men talked about it 1700 AD. It was a lie when Dan Brown took our conspiracy theory-laden culture and put it back out there. It's a lie. At the very least, she was a rich old woman bankrolling Jesus. At the very best, she was a wise old widow teaching the disciples love and how to grieve and how to care. But somehow in culture, that all got twisted. Why is it that women so often get labeled as objects of desire? Why is it that...
Men write the history.
Because men what?
Write the history.
Because men write the history. Why is it that men, so many men, not all men, so many men, their minds always go to that object of desire? Why is it that women so often find their self-worth from some sense of how they look, how they feel in that way? Why is it that our culture, our society, so easily judges women on their appearance, on their demeanor, on their place?
And they have such great beauty.
They have such great beauty, more than just in the looks. We're going to talk about a woman today who has such great beauty in her strength. Amen, strong women. Do we have any strong women in here today? Yeah, a lot of hands went up. They can't see it online. A lot of hands went up. It's so. Why is it so hard in our culture to measure women on their strength, by how they stand, by how they persist, by how they conquer, or even better, to measure all of us, men and women, as equal, as wonderfully made as loving? Why is it so hard to do? So I got you there, and we're going to learn about this woman in the Bible who, she was not of the oldest profession out there, but she did learn to shake what her mama gave her. Today we're going to talk about Esther. Esther, who has a whole book of the Bible after her. She's an unusual person. Back in those days, hundreds of years before Jesus, the idea of women's equality was so far off. No one could have conceived it. There wasn't even a category to put women's equality in there. But there was a category for women's empowerment. And so, Esther is one of the many women in the Bible who uses her feminine wiles to get what she wants. And more than just what she wants, what God wants. People like Rahab and Tamar and Deborah and Delilah and Mary and the other Mary, these women who are victims of a broken society, who survived, who thrived, who carried God's message forward. The Bible doesn't have any books written by women, but it has these stories of prophets of action. And their stories aren't necessarily pretty, just as many of ours aren't. They probably took a lot of time, each of these women, to deal with the trauma they faced, as many of us do. They probably even yelled at God for feeling like God put them in harm's way, as many of us have. God said back, you made it this far. You've made it through all that junk, and now you're going to be able to use it for something beautiful. So Esther, all the women who raised their hand, you're called for a time as this to stand strong. You are called and born for a time of this when the world is filled with brokenness. You are called to be menders. You are called to be prophets. You are called, Esther and women and men in this whole church, for such a time as this to stand up for those who hurt, stand up against those who do the hurting. Let us trust in God's strength for all of us, and let us worship a God who calls us to a dream, peace, and love. Our first hymn is Linda's favorite, so let's sing it loud.